You say you love Native American legends. Have you heard of the Goatman? No? Then please, allow me to enlighten you. I heard the legend when a power outage on our reservation made us decide to have a fire. As we all know, nothing goes better with a good fire than a good story. That was when I learned about Goatman. The legend goes that they shapeshift. They love human forms most of all, which is what makes them so dangerous. It's thought that if you find the bone of one, or take a photograph and keep it in your house, it will wait. For what, you ask? The answer is, they wait for you to leave. Once you leave, they ransack the place until they find what you took from them. There was even an incident I heard that night where some men met the Goatman face to face. It was a night like the one I was experiencing. Some men had decided to have a fire in the desert and told some stories around it. Then, a stranger walked out of the desert and took a seat, never speaking a word. No one really got a good look at the stranger. One man brought up the legend of the Goatman, causing the stranger to listen a little more closely. At the end, the other men nervously laughed, the stranger still silent. The men decided to go back to their homes and put out the fire. They didn't have enough room for the stranger and figured he could hitchhike back to town. They had just left when they saw something chasing after their truck. Afraid, they sped up. The creature sped up its pursuit as well. When it reached the truck, it flipped it over and dragged 3 men off into the night. What happened to them, you ask? Well, they were never found. Be careful of the Goatman. They can shapeshift, didn't I tell you? That homeless man begging for change could be one, or your boss, teacher, or even your friends. Ever tried to figure out what that thing that always lurks inside your mind was? Haunting your dreams? Eating you in your nightmares? Now you can finally face him. Talk to him. But be careful. Who knows what can happen to you? It must be a new moon night in December. When it's exactly 1:28 in the morning, you must go to bed, wearing plain white clothing. The same rule applies to your bedsheet. If you don't have any white bed sheets, don't put them on your bed or the ritual won't work. Lay down. Act like you're sleeping, but I suggest you to not sleep on your back because it might be more painful. Close your eyes and wait until you start to hear whispers coming from behind your door. When you start to hear those frightful whispers, say in a low voice, "Come to me. I want to talk." If done correctly, the door will open and you will suddenly fall asleep. Otherwise, you will just sleep normally. While sleeping, you will instantly wake up inside a small room with 2 windows in opposite walls. Outside the windows, there are endless night skies raining blood both up and down. There's nothing but a table, 2 chairs, and blood. Blood everywhere. Act like you don't mind that, not at all. Just get the closest chair and sit down. Say confidently, "I'm here." The door in the other side of the room will open, and it will come. A creature that will have an unspeakable appearance will appear. But somehow, you will feel like you're just facing that thing that you are most afraid of, whether it's a person, an object, or a place. Just stare at the creature as it approaches and sits down. Don't panic. It won't hurt you. At least, not physically. The creature will start to talk. His voice will give you shivers that even your soul will feel. But act like you don't mind. Just listen. It'll talk about the secrets of your life, your future, and will speak about the scary truth of your existence. You still have to avoid reacting, despite how unsettling and utterly frightening it is. Otherwise, it will attack you, and you will die in your sleep. Once he stops talking, you will know. He will lean his head on his right fist. You shall say at this time, "I understand. Am I worthy to know?" He will ask to see your hand. Show it. Do not disobey. If you do correctly, he will put something in your hand. You can't tell what it is at that moment, but when that happens, you will wake up, and it'll be exactly 7 in the morning. You will notice something in your hand. It will be closed. Open it. Do not worry. Yet. You will see what the monster placed in your hand. It can be one of these 4 possibilities. If you see a quarter in your hand, every night will give you a very pleasant dream. If you see a little rubber duck, your dreams will be memories of your childhood. If it's a little key, you'll be able to see your friend's secrets through your dreams. But if there's nothing at all, the next time you sleep, you will never wake up again. The effects of the objects last exactly 6 days. After that, your nights will get back to normal. But I shall tell you, during these 6 days, never get rid of those objects. Always take them with you, all the time. The creature knows what you're doing.
Beginning in early April 1986, the people in and around the little-known Chernobyl nuclear power plant began to experience a series of strange events revolving around sightings of a mysterious creature described as a large, dark, and mutated man with gigantic wings and piercing red eyes. People affected by this phenomena experienced horrific nightmares, threatening phone calls, and first-hand encounters with the winged beast which became known as the Blackbird of Chernobyl. Reports of these strange happenings continued to increase until the morning of April 26, 1986, when at 1:23 a.m., Reactor 4 of the Chernobyl nuclear power plant suffered a catastrophic steam explosion that resulted in a fire which caused a series of additional explosions followed by a nuclear meltdown. The power plant, located near Pripyat, Ukraine, Soviet Union, spewed a plume of radioactive fallout which drifted over parts of the Western Soviet Union, Eastern and Western Europe, Scandinavia, the UK, Ireland, and Eastern North America. Large areas of Ukraine, Belarus, and Russia were badly contaminated, resulting in the evacuation and resettlement of over 336,000 people. The Chernobyl disaster, as the incident was dubbed, is considered the worst accident ever in the history of nuclear power. Following the meltdown and subsequent explosions and fires, Soviet helicopters were dispatched to the scene, equipped with special firefighting gear. These helicopters circled the plant, dropping clay, sand, lead, and other extinguishing chemicals on the burning facility. Most of the fire was put out by 5 a.m., with the fire burning within the Reactor 4 continuing to blaze for several hours after. The firefighters who responded were unaware of the nature of the fire, assuming that it was simply an electrical fire, and received massive overdoses of radiation, leading to many of their deaths, including Lieutenant Vladimir Pravik, who died on May 9, 1986. The workers who survived the initial blast and fire, but would later die of radiation poisoning, claimed to have witnessed what has been described as a large black bird-like creature with a 20-foot wingspan gliding through the swirling plumes of irradiated smoke pouring from the reactor. No further sightings of the Blackbird of Chernobyl were reported after the Chernobyl disaster, leaving researchers to speculate just what haunted the workers of the plant during the days leading up to the disaster. The most commonly accepted theory suggests that the Blackbird of Chernobyl may have been the same creature spotted in Point Pleasant, West Virginia, leading up to the collapse of the Silver Bridge on December 15, 1968. Investigators have suggested that the appearance of this creature is an omen of disasters to come in the area in which it shows itself. The physical description of both the Blackbird of Chernobyl and the Mothman, the creature sighted in West Virginia, are very similar, and the reports of nightmares and threatening phone calls leading up to these disasters are shared in both cases. A second, less accepted theory suggests that the Blackbird of Chernobyl was nothing more than the misidentification of the black stork, an endangered species endemic to southern Eurasia. The black stork stands nearly 3 feet tall and has a wingspan of nearly 6 feet. This theory, however, fails to take into account the menacing phone calls and disturbing nightmares. Also, the physical description given by the majority of eyewitnesses who actually saw the Blackbird of Chernobyl does not in any way match the physical appearance of the black stork. Both the Blackbird of Chernobyl and the Mothman have not been sighted since their respective disasters, leaving us with many unanswered questions. All we can do is just wait for the beast to show itself again and give us a chance to figure out just what it may be. Unfortunately, it would appear that for this creature to show up again, we will have to anticipate some form of disaster in the area it is selected to appear.